Want to use some of the hottest design trends for small creative businesses in your promotions and new products in 2020? In today's video, I'm going to share with you some of the coolest graphic design trends that I'm seeing emerge in 2020 for small creative businesses. Now, I don't recommend rebranding your whole business identity just based on current trends. Your brand's core identity needs to be rooted in your brand message. But we can still inject trends in other more fleeting things like special promotions or new products, in those designs that may be a little bit more new or just fleeting and not a core part of your brand identity. Now, last year when I discussed the logo trends of the year, the overarching theme then was 1920s Art Deco feel. And while this trend hasn't completely died off, the new overarching trend that I'm seeing is a more 1960s, 1970s feel. With low saturation retro colors, a lot of big shapes and organic lines, and rounded and chunky serif and retro fonts. So first of all, colors. The colors that I'm really seeing used more and more are really low saturation colors and a lot of warm colors. Things like low saturation pinks and oranges and reds. Things that feel really warming and a little bit retro too. And they're often paired with things like sage greens or really deep, rich, bluey greens. And then of course, the new Pantone color of the year is a really deep blue, and we're also seeing this paired with those colors as well. With people looking for things like stability and warmth and comfort in life, these are the kind of colors that are bringing those feelings. These colors also evoke feelings of joy in a more subdued way. They're not super poppy and bright, but they're sort of comforting and joyful. There is a definite nostalgia to them, and I think that's comforting for people in uncertain times. Now, in terms of fonts, there's two directions that I'm seeing. The first direction is really rounded, high contrast serif fonts. So these sort of feel more bubbly. They're really retro feeling too, and we're also seeing just pure bubble fonts as well. So they really have that 60s, 70s type of feel, that real roundedness. On the other hand, we're also seeing really sharp, jagged, geometric type fonts. So often these fonts are quite thin, but I've also seen variations that are more chunky, but they still have that real jagged, strong geometric feel to them. And in terms of font application, two little trends that I'm seeing pop up quite a lot is using type in a wave form and then also using cut off text. So being a bit more creative in layout. So it's not all perfect in the center kind of thing. There's a lot of cutting off or putting to the side. There's a lot of creative layouts going on. And thinking about how we can use type in a more out of the box way and add a lot more dimension and movement to it. So also in terms of layout, there's a real feeling of simplicity. So unlike the minimalism where everything is very stark, it's a different kind of minimalism where it's just very pulled back, but there's still a lot of color and interest and movement, but you're keeping the actual elements to a minimum. So there's not too much going on, but what is going on is exciting and fun. And it's often quite big, bold, and chunky too. Now, in terms of shape, we're seeing a lot of organic shapes and beautiful big bold lines as well. Things like chunky stripes and rainbow arches, painted curvy lines, and really organic shapes where it just feels like someone's painted them rather than being computer generated. It all feels very free flowing and calming. It's going back to feeling more authentic and handmade rather than really stiff and computerized. There's this definite feeling of connection and intimacy, and being able to connect with one another rather than it being all stark and serious. Do you think you'll use any of these trends in your designs? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to learn more about graphic design, creativity, and branding, then be sure to subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you next time.